Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to our Anti Healing Ministry. My name is Prophet Xavier Morris. And as you see, currently I'm on the road, so I won't be long with you, but with the time I have with you. As you can tell by the title, it's going by your destiny. As you see today, a lot of us is basically focused on Mother's Day. And you basically focus on basically the woman that gave you life, or the woman that essentially has given so much to you, and the woman has sacrificed so much for your life. But the biggest thing I want to ask each and every one of you is this: while you're focusing on your loved ones and you focus on others, have you focused on your destiny? Or have you really asked yourself what truly is your destiny? Because one of the biggest things I think many of us don't really understand is that a lot of us have a calling on our life. And with that calling, a lot of us either receives it, embraces it, and basically does what God is basically asking us to do. Or someone's essentially said we're just gonna do what we want to do. And that's one of the biggest things really ask the question is, are you stepping into your destiny? And one of the biggest things I think you really want to really start paying attention to is basically how your destiny comes and how you can miss the boat, or how your destiny sometimes can be almost delayed. Because when you think about the spiritual realm have a many different ways to try to distract you. And you really ask yourself, well, how does the spiritual realm distract you? Well, let's think about it. Think about family. Think about friends. Think about life that you have relationship with or situationships. Think about how you worry so much. Think about how you focus on money. Just think about how you focus so much on your situation in itself to the point to where you worry yourself to death. And then it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then next week go by, 2 weeks go by, and before you know it, a year, two, three, four, five, and then now you're almost 3, 4, 5, almost 10 years down the road, and you still have yet to go back on that path. And you understand that a lot of these things happen for a reason. So what exactly is the reason? Well let's think about it. Many what you're calling your life and the influences you have. Think about the people that you're going to influence. And just think about when you plant that seed, what that seed is going to grow into. Think about fruit tree. Think about the time it takes for that fruit tree to mature. Think about the time it takes for it to basically take root. Think about how long it takes for it to start to blossom, bloom. And you see the fruit of the labor. Then you just see the time it takes for that fruit to really come to its maturity. So just think about all those times where the enemy is just trying to trip you up, essentially. Think about the enemy trying to do essentially. Well, let's put it to it this way: your mind. Think about how your mind have a tendency of wandering all over the place to the point to where essentially you try to figure out yourself why did you worry about it in the first place. But the biggest thing a lot of us have to really understand is putting things in perspective. And you have to start putting things in perspective because if you don't basically like think about like a job or just think about just putting things being organized. If you don't put things in perspective, essentially what you're gonna see is you're gonna lose your way. And that's one reason why I said earlier you're gonna miss that boat. Because think about the planning. Think about how you basically for those who basically want to travel and you basically had to catch that flight. Think about how you basically plan and and get all your stuff together. Think about the hours you get up to basically travel to go to the airport. Think about all the things you had to go through, even the amount of time you had to get so that you can go through the baggage claims and everything like that. And just for you just to travel to get to make sure you get to your proper gate so you can get onto that flight. It's all about the planning. So in this day and hour, you have to really start planning ahead of time and basically find out what exactly God's called you to be. Because God is constantly talking. The question is, are you listening? And that's one of the biggest issues because a lot of us are doing less listening and we're just so focused on what we basically want God to do instead of listening on this an assignment He has for us, is getting us aligned to where we need to go. One of the biggest things is when you think about football terms, you have to number one, you have to know your alignment, you have to know your assignment, and you have to execute. So, are you aligned with basically what God asked you to do? Do you know your assignment, and will you execute it? And that's one of the biggest things that each and every one you have to start asking yourself: Are you aligned yourself? Are you number one in this, know your assignment and what you need to do? And then number three, are you going to execute? Those are one of the biggest things each and every person has to ask themselves. Are you going to execute? Because if you do not, well, what about the people that God assigned you to talk to? What were the places God sent you on a reason? Sometimes God sends certain places simply because you can shift the atmosphere. And you'll be very, very surprised that you're going to be the only one that can really do it. You're going to be the only one that can talk to that person. Everyone else who talks to that person could not get to that person, but yet you can. And it's not necessarily just you. It's because the spirit is within you. So always understand anything you say, anything you do. If you just think it's yourself doing it, think again. It's the spirit within you operating through you. Because your only thing you are is simply a vessel. As soon as you understand that you're a vessel, and as soon as you humble yourself and say, Lord, use me how you see fit, you will just see the changes in your life. You see the change in other people's lives. You see the changes in that atmosphere. Then when you humble yourself to the point of where you truly give yourself to God, then you can rise to really start to see how you be taken it to another level. Another level where God can basically teach you how to speak things into existence, how you can heal people from a certain touch, how you can just simply just speak things into existence to the point of where it can happen in real time. So when many of us really start to really look at things biblically, and we see how the old saints used to do it in biblical times, or you basically saw how your grandparents or great grandparents used to do certain things, it's because they took that time in prayer. And a lot of us had to really start getting back into prayer, because a lot of prayer and fasting is when a lot of your battles are won. And a lot of us aren't really taking the time to do that. And because a lot of us aren't taking the time to do that, a lot of us, unfortunately, are trying to figure out why are certain things happening ways, or why certain things are more difficult needs to be. And it's because we're not setting that foundation. For case in point, when we get hungry, what do? We get something to eat. When you get thirsty, you get something to drink. Well, at some point, you have the thirst and hunger in the spirit. And when you have that thirst and you have that hunger, keep going back to that source for nourishment. And that's when you can take root. And when you take root, that's when you can stand on certain morals, certain values, and be. It's something can be very difficult for the spirits in the spiritual realm to basically uproot you because you're rooted, which is the main reason why you see in a lot of certain relationships or in certain churches, in certain places, there's certain people that people won't even think of messing with or even trying certain things with that person because they know that that person is rooted. But then the minute that they find someone else who's not rooted, that's when they basically try to take advantage of that person to see, even if I can't uproot this person, maybe I can basically use them to basically uproot this person. So you have to really start asking yourself the question, are you essentially someone that can be used? And you have to really ask yourself this, are you someone that truly can be used? If not, then my question is, what are you doing? And a lot of us really aren't asking the right questions. Everybody wants something, but a lot really want it. But yeah, you want the blessings, you want the money, you want the car, you want the clothes, you want the fame. You want basically the men of this world to essentially bless you. But yet you're not really giving anything in return. You basically only time you talk to God is when you want something. And the minute that he gives you something, then you say, "Oh God, I appreciate for you giving me." Sometimes you don't do that. You just say, "Hey, appreciate you," and you go about your business. And then you then ask the question, why are things falling apart? Because you don't have that foundation. You're not constantly in that source. And this is why the enemy constantly keep using many of you as a ping pong, knocking you back and forth. Because many of you aren't grounded. You're not centered. And God isn't the center of your universe. And God has to be your center. If God isn't your center, then what ends up happening? Then, well, the other entity is going to essentially be your center, even without you realizing it. Because many of us understand it's like doors. If the door isn't locked, or essentially the door isn't locked and consecrated, then the enemies will come right in. That's the main reason why in a lot of people's homes, and not even I'm not necessarily talking about your physical home, but I'm just talking about just your mind, body, and soul. This is the main reason why a lot of you are so overstimulated. This is one of the main reasons why so many have so much headaches. This is the main reason why so many are saying, man, things just aren't going my way. Remember now, think about some of the words that you say. Some of the words that you say can basically be your own destination, their destiny. So now, you have to really start focusing on the not only the things that you say, but things that you do. Because a lot of things you entertain can open up doors. And then if you don't really understand how to close those doors, you're gonna say, "Oh, I did X, Y, Z, and the third. I'm gonna keep it moving." Well, it's not necessarily gonna happen that way. Because guess what? You can be on the road, you could be speeding, and you get stopped by a police officer and get a ticket. Well, guess what? You still have to basically handle that ticket. No matter if you try to ignore it or not, you still have to handle that ticket. So no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you basically got to hold a consequence for everything that you do and everything that you say. Especially when it comes down to when you have a responsibility of leading God's people. And you understand that the minute that you basically understand that your life is your own, and you truly understand that God Himself is basically speaking with you, say, son, daughter, I'm asking you to do this. I'm asking you to speak my word. Because trust and believe, you see all over the place that Satan is using his people to speak to his people. And it's happening on a daily basis. Just how I'm speaking to you on my phone, just think about what's constantly keep streaming on your phone on a daily basis. Look at what's constantly streaming on billboards all around you. Think about what's constantly being cast to you in a spell on your television. Because think about the television itself. All it really is basically casting a spell on you. A spell basically create delusion. An illusion in itself that's going to basically cause you to basically miss that boat, miss your calling. But most importantly, have you not in position to essentially save God's people? Because there's many of you in here. God is calling you. He's calling you. But the problem is, are you willing and are you able to step into that position? Many are called, but not many are chosen. Many are called, but then not many are chosen. And then those are basically, then you have those essentially who essentially just looking at things from a perspective of, well, I'm just going to do X, Y, and Z my way. Sure, you can do things your way, but it's not going to be in the best interest of the kingdom. And we already seen many people who essentially step in certain arenas that they're not prepared for. So you've seen certain people try to do certain things on their own power, and we basically seeing a lot of them get run out of the building. So the question is I have for you is this: who are you? What are you? And how can God use you? Have you found that purpose? Have you found your why? Who are you doing this for? Why are you doing this? But most importantly, have you humbled yourself enough to where you say, God, lead me to wisdom? Because there's many people that have some level of understanding, and many people have some level of knowledge, but a lot of people don't have wisdom. And in order for you to truly have the full package, you need to have wisdom. So when you start praying for certain things, humble yourself and say, God, give me more wisdom. Lord, I need help in my business. Give me more wisdom. Lord, help me with my family. Give me more wisdom. Lord, there's things that's going on around me. I don't understand. Lord, give me more wisdom. And you'd be very, very surprised at how God's going to reveal certain things. You give you certain that even the people around you won't be able to understand. And they won't be able to understand because they're going to really start seeing that the source you're coming from is basically a source that's supernatural, that's beyond this world. And until many people open up their ears and open up their eyes and truly humble themselves and truly give themselves to the Lord, truly giving themselves, well, a lot of people are going to be essentially limited in this walk. A lot of people are going to be limited. And we've already seen it in this time is out. A lot of people are very limited. They're behind enemy lines. And the enemy himself has people who are in order, people who are very strategic, and but most importantly, people who are balanced, and they also have people who are consistent. So you need to continue work on your consistency on your walk. Yes, you're not perfect. Yes, you may fall, but get back up. Don't focus on the fall. Focus on basically how can I get myself back on track. Ask God, where's the root of it all? Because no matter what happens, there's always a root to everything. Focus on the root. When you focus on the root, then you can basically kill the rest of the vine. Because if you don't, all that vine is going to do is going to continue to constrict, choke out, and expand. And before you know it, it's took over another territory. So focus on the root. What is your destiny? Most importantly, do you have a peace of mind? Because while you're going through this walk, the enemy is going to basically use anything he possibly can to trip you up. Family, friends, your own insecurities, some insecurity that you never thought you had, even some things that even going out to your childhood that ranges back to 10, 15, almost 30, 40, 50 years, get uprooted. Find that root. The minute that you find where the root is, and the minute you dig up the root and destroy it and give it all to God, then you're going to really start seeing true change in your life. The anger you have, the hurt you have, the disappointment you have, the awareness you have, when you feel so unworthy sometimes, all those things have a root to it. The minute you basically kill the root, then you're going to really start see true progress. So with that being said, for the End Time Healing Ministry, what is your destiny? But most importantly, what's stifling your destiny? How you plan to get to your destiny? And where's the root of the problem? The minute that you ask God for more wisdom to find the root, the vine will be destroyed and it will no longer take over the territory that's for you. So that being said, for the End Time Healing Ministry, be blessed and kill the root of the problem. And when you have God as your center, the enemy himself will do anything he possibly can to get in, but he will not have a foothold because all these principalities that's all around us, all they can really do is simply submit once they see the God that's within you, the light that's within you. So always be that light in a dark place. Always be that light in your children's face, on your job, but most importantly, even around strangers. So with that being said, God bless and find the root. Until